العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله المبعوث بالكتاب المبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. First of all, inshallah, before we get started, I would like to thank all those who have participated in this event since it started, those who shared with us some aspect of their cultures, and those who cooked food for us as well. I want to say thank you so much, and I would like also to thank everybody who attended tonight. MashaAllah, it's a great turnout. It's very nice to see these faces. And I would like to thank Sheikh Hajj because he has some pain. He wasn't going to come tonight, but alhamdulillah, he just took it upon him and made it, alhamdulillah. Barakallahu khair. Jazakallahu khair. Tonight is India, the land of many languages and the land of many cultures. And before we begin our journey to India, please kids, please outside, social area. Okay. If you want to stay here, that's fine. But no noise, please, okay? So before we start our journey to India, I would like to introduce this, mashallah, these teenagers. It's very nice to see like brothers, big brothers, mashallah. I would like to introduce Brother Suhail and Brother Zaman and Brother Nabi. They say it right? Okay, alhamdulillah. So 45 minutes presentation. After the presentation, but as you all know, 15 minutes of Kahoot quiz, inshallah. And the winner, inshallah, like I say always, free ticket to for Umrah, inshallah, to Makkah, inshallah. Inshallah, Brother Suhail is going to start his presentation first, inshallah.
Hello? Yeah? Yep. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hello, my name is Sohail Sheikh. I'm a sophomore at Middleton High School, and today Zaman, Naveed, and I will be giving a presentation about India's culture, politics, and other stuff. And please wait for all questions until the end. We will answer them at the end. Let's get started. Okay, so this is a map of Chicago to New Delhi, which is India's capital. And it takes 7,466 miles to get there, which is 14 hours of travel time. So anyone who wants to travel to India, be prepared for jail. So these are two charts of the world population and world religion percentages. As you can see, China in the blue is at 19%, which many of you know is the most populated country in the world. And second being India, not far behind at 18%. And these two countries make up almost 40% of our population. And India's land area is 8th in the world, which is proportional to its population. And an interesting fact is that one person in America will have 9 times as much land space than one person of India because of all the population and land change. This next chart above shows the world religion, and Christianity is number 1 with 39% being Christianity and 24% being Muslim, so almost 1 in 4 people. And Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, so these numbers will soon be changed. So these two charts show the Muslims in India and the Muslims in the world. And we're going to compare these two. So obviously, India is a predominantly Hindu country, being 81% Hinduism and 13% being Muslim. It actually,
Previously was better.
it actually has over 100 religions, but these are just some of the most famous ones. And although it's 13% of Muslims in India, India's Muslim population is third in the world, as there are 172 million Muslims in the world. So this contributes to the world Muslim population, as 10% of the world Muslim population is in India. So this chart above shows the fastest growing languages in the US from BBC, and 7 out of 10 of these languages are Indian languages, the top being Telugu, which is the language from my hometown in India. So obviously there's hundreds of languages in India, but there are 26 constitutionally recognized languages, and below are some traditional attires that are worn by men and women in India. So the kurta pajama, which is what Naveed is wearing here, and there's the dhoti kurta, the salwar kameez, and the sari. So these are just some traditional clothing. So let's move on to food, which is everyone's favorite. So India is known to be the land of spices, which is probably why, because that's included in everything that they eat. And it can be divided into mainly 4 regions, and let's go over some of the famous foods for each one. The first one, as many of you know, is samosa, which is famous in the north. The second one is dosa and sambar, which is famous in the south. And in the west, pav bhaji is famous, and in the east, fish with rice is famous. So national monuments, obviously there's a lot of national monuments in India, and a lot of them are very historical. The first being the Taj Mahal, which is the most famous and is one of the 7 wonders of the world and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I actually have a video to share with you, so...
It's the music.
It's supposed to be with no sound. So I'm just surprised. Usually we leave the food at the end of the presentation. So today it's very special. We started with the food. So you don't need volume? Okay. Oh yeah.
16.
That's our small building. Why is that so tall? Why is black so tall? That's a flashlight. Where are all those clouds about?
So on to the next historical monument. So the first one we have is the Charminar. So the Charminar was a masjid built in Hyderabad in 1597, and still to this day remains a masjid in Hyderabad and is its main attraction. Next we have the Qutb Minar. So the Qutb Minar is a monument in New Delhi, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site also, and is the 2nd tallest minaret in the world. So the arrival of Islam in India. So Islam arrived in India through many Arab rulers and kings that came to India to regain its natural resources and take advantage of its geographical advantages. So what they would do was they would come to India and they would create small kingdoms in different regions of India and rule and spread the influence of Islam. And one example of this influence of Islam was the creation of the first mosque built in India, which was the Chairman Juma Mosque, which was built in 629 AD and is the oldest mosque in the subcontinent. And it was built by Malik bin Naud, who was a Persian ruler of this region, which is Kerala, which is in South India. So obviously there's many Islamic dynasties in India, but I'm just going to talk about two of like the most important ones. The first one is the Ghurid Empire. So the Ghurid Empire was the first dynasty to ever be in India and took place over 31 years. And it kind of built the foundation of the Islamic influence in India. And over this 31 period time, there was only one ruler, which shown there is Muhammad Ghori. And he kind of just laid the foundation for empires to come. Next we have the Mughal Empire. So the Mughal Empire is one of like the most well-known empires in the world. And it consisted of 6 rulers over a period of almost 200 years of time. And the first important ruler of it was Babur. And he was the first ruler of this dynasty. And he kind of like set the stage for the rest of the rulers, which are like his grandsons and great-grandsons. And what he would do is he would use his military tactics, and he took over a lot of other small kingdoms in India and spread his Muslim influence throughout it, and that's how he gained a lot of support and influence. Next we have Shah Jahan. So Shah Jahan was the creator of the Taj Mahal, which gained a lot of tourism from around the world and in India in general. And because of this tourism, he just gained a lot of attention, and a lot of people followed his influence. The East India Company. So the East India Company was a British merchant company that came to India originally for trade, but they ended up just taking over India in general. And what they would do is they would tax India for their natural resources, and they would take advantage of their geographical advantages and use for their own industrial advancements. So one example of this would be if there's like 2 small kingdoms. At this time, kingdoms were known to like take each other over to gain more land. So the British would just like convince one of the kingdoms, like saying that we'll give you protection, but you have to pay us taxes for everything. So when they would agree, they would raise the taxes to an extent which it was unaffordable, and then they would just take over the kingdom, and they would continue doing that for all of them. And this basically caused the Indian community to like disagree with their methods, and it caused them to fight for independence. So obviously there's many struggles in India's independence, and they were under the rule of the British for a long time. And one of the most important struggles was the salt taxes. So the British taxed salt to an extent which was unaffordable to the community. And Mahatma Gandhi was the influential leader at that time. And he led an event called the Great Salt March, which was a peaceful protest that gained international recognition and led to the freedom of India. So India gained independence on August 15, 1947, and this was the day that the British Parliament passed the Indian Independence Act, giving India its freedom. And after this, India's rulers decided to split into 2 countries, which was India and Pakistan. And after that, Pakistan decided to split into Pakistan and Bangladesh. So as you can see, this one country with a bunch of land split into what now is 3 countries with separate land. So I already talked about Mahatma Gandhi, and most of you know him from textbooks and all that. And he was like the main fighter for civil rights in India, and he inspired many others like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Nelson Mandela. And one of the former presidents of India, Abdul Kalam, he was the former president from 2002 to 2007. And not only was he a politician, he was also a scientist, which is why he played a leading role in India's technological advancements, such as the development of nuclear programs and Indian missile programs. And now I'm going to pass it to Saman, who is going to talk about Constitution.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. My name is Zaman. I'm also a sophomore at MHS, and I'm going to be talking to you about the Constitution. Alright, so some important dates of the Constitution. The 15th of August 1947, this is when India gained its constitution from Britain, or gained its independence. The 26th of January 1950, this is when India adopted the new constitution. And some details about it, the Indian constitution borrows many elements from Great Britain's constitution, as Britain was a colonizer of India for many years. And it has four main branches of government: the lower house, the upper house, the prime minister, and the president. Alright, so some key elements of the Constitution. Single citizenship. So there's only one citizenship, no matter race, religion, or gender. Powers in favor of the central government, meaning most of the power is in the central government. Appointments of governors are by the president. Proclamation of emergency. There are three types of emergencies. There is national/war emergencies, state emergencies, or financial emergencies. And then the right of Parliament is to enforce treaty. This is a quote from our former president, Barack Obama. For a country like India, where there is a Muslim population that is successful, integrated, and considers itself as Indian, which is not the case in some other countries, this should be nourished and cultivated. Okay, so here are some people involved in developing the Constitution. The main writer of the Constitution is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He played a key role in writing the Constitution, as he was the head of the drafting committee. The main illustrator of the Constitution was Nandalal Bose, and he played a key role in illustrating a copy of the Constitution and finalizing it. And the first person to sign the Constitution is Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was also the first president of India. Elections in India. Elections for parliament and state legislative assemblies happen every 5 years. The Constitution allows for up to 552 members in the Lok Sabha, which is basically the lower house. It's the one with the green carpet. A party must win one more than half of 552 Lok Sabha seats to win and form a government. The Prime Minister of India is elected by members of the Lok Sabha, the lower house of Parliament, who wins majority. The Rajya Sabha, and that's in red, is the upper house of the Parliament, and that has 233 members. And the President is elected by the Electoral College, consisting of elected members of both houses. So, freedom and diversity of religion. Muslims make up about 13.4% of the Indian population, which is about 172 million people. As the biggest minority group, Muslims live without much stress of being discriminated in India. And also, the Indian government gives Muslims many benefits, such as tax-free religious institutions, right to practice freely, right to have own code of religious laws, and right to observe certain holidays. So this is the state emblem of the Indian government, and the lions represent power, courage, confidence, and pride, and we call them the lions of the north. And then there's the horse of the west and the bull of the south, as you can see on the left and right of the bottom. And then there's the wheel of the law, which is the center circle, and that's also shown on the Indian flag. And then the inscription below the government translates into truth alone triumphs. So a fun fact, the emblem shows 3 lines on top, but there's actually a 4th line you cannot see. And here are some national symbols of India. The national animal is the tiger. The national bird is the peacock. The national fruit is the mango. The national flower is the lotus. The national tree is a fig tree, and the currency we use are called rupees. Now I'm going to be handing over the mic to Naveed, and he's going to be talking about some universities and some major Muslim actors and people.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. I'll be talking about Islamic-based institutions and distinguished personalities. So first we have, these are the two most well-known Islamic institutions, Darul Uloom Deoband University and Darul Uloom Nazwatul Ulama University. Both of them are completely focused on Islamic education, such as teaching Arabic, Islamic history, and memorizing the Quran. So there are other academic institutions that are founded on Islamic principles and are also well-known places of higher education, like the Al-Azhar Muslim University, or AMU. It was founded by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in 1875. The other well-known university is Jamia Millia Islamia, or JMI. Both AMU and JMI have a majority of Muslim students, but other religions also make up the student population. We have several alumni in our community from these two institutions. So now I'll be talking about some distinguished personalities. So Muslim Indians have made huge contributions to all areas of life in India. For example, in the corporate area, Azim Premji, Yusuf Hamid, and Abdul Harakiwala are well known. Wipro is an IT company, Cipla and Wockhardt are pharmaceutical companies. And Azim Premji's net worth is $20.3 billion. Yusuf Hamid's net worth is $1.67 billion. And Abdul Harakiwala's net worth is $1 billion. And as many of you might know, the Hindi film industry is called Bollywood, which is a huge part of the Indian economy. Muslims have made contributions to all areas of the film industry. Here are the four most well-known Muslim male actors whose movies do well worldwide. Muhammad Yusuf Khan, better known by his screen name Dilip Kumar, acted for over 6 decades, starting in the 1940s. Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, and Amir Khan are present-day actors with millions of fans all across the world. Many Muslims also participate in various sports. Mansur Ali Khan Pagodi, nicknamed Tiger Pagodi, was an Indian cricketer and has been described as one of India's greatest cricket captains. He was also called the best fielder in the time that he played. Muhammad Shahid is considered one of India's best field hockey players. He was a member of the Indian team that won the gold medal in 1980 at the Olympics in Moscow, Russia. And Muhammad Azharuddin is a former cricket player. And now he's an Indian politician. He was a well-known batsman and the captain of the Indian cricket team for a long time. And Sania Mirza is an Indian professional tennis player. She's a former world #1 in doubles, and she has won 6 Grand Slam titles in her career. Jazakallah khairan everyone for your time and attention. Yeah.
Barakallahu feekum. Jazakallah clapping, please. Jazakallah. Please no clapping. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakallah khair. Thank you, Brother Suhail. Thank you, Brother Zaman. Thank you, Brother Naveed. That was very, very informative, mashallah. Takbir. Takbir. Mashallah, mashallah. Now we're going to go to the next step, to Kahoot quizzes. Please divide into groups and give a name to your group. Group of 4 or 5 or something like that, okay? Go ahead and divide into groups, please. Thank you. Please divide into groups.
एक्चुअली उनको टेक्स्ट किए थे कि ये मैं रख रहा हूँ पर उनका जवाब नहीं आया।
अच्छा
नबी समझे कि जो है अब शाम को भी नबी बोले कि मैं उनको रिमाइंड कराया हूँ कि आ रहे हैं कि नहीं आ रहे हैं, वो भी जवाब नहीं दिए।
ऐसा क्या
बट आए
उधर से
मैं
Yes.
19 टीम है भाई.
Turn it down. Do you hear me now, baby? Okay, thank you. So we'll start, inshallah. So the first question, we have 10 questions. Yes, we are ready. Chef, you have your team? What is the biggest democratic nation in the world?
चाइना रखे भाई. डेमोक्रेसी.
How many languages does India officially have? It's easy. 100. We need one more team. Okay. Your team? MashaAllah, takbir. What's the fastest growing language in the USA?
That's a good one.
But none of the Indians are winning.
Your first Indian best. country?
Pakistan.
Countries. All the countries.
Sudan?
Pakistan.
Pakistan? Who else? America? Oh yeah, we forgot America. It's not even in the list.
America won this.
All the countries. So inshallah we will have a presentation about all the countries we have covered so far. And it will be presented by the youth inshallah. Takbir. And the December 30th inshallah, the end of December inshallah. Before we start New Year inshallah.